Hello, I'm Andrew Price. Welcome to the channel, and today we're talking about safety in the hills and what you should carry on a day hike. Safety in the hills has become quite a hot topic in recent years, and it's mainly down to the fact that hill walking has become spectacularly popular thanks to social media. So Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, you name it, everyone is hiking up the hills, and I live about an hour from Banau Brycheiniog, where the famous Penavan mountain stands, and it's gone from being somewhere that hill walkers would go, and you'd see maybe a handful of people on an average day, to somewhere that tens of thousands of people will go on a busy summer's day. There's nowhere to park, there's queues for the summit cairn, it is chaos, and as a result the call-outs to the mountain rescue have increased, and we keep hearing stories about people going into the hills wearing completely inappropriate clothing, flip-flops, t-shirts, and inevitably there are incidents related to that. So today I'm going to talk about what I keep in my kit, and I am a UK mountain leader and I've spent quite a lot of my time hiking up hills, so I've formulated a certain kit that keeps me happy. It may not be ideal for you, but it certainly gives you something to think about. So we'll start off looking at the bag itself. And this is slightly larger than the average day pack that people might carry. This is a Berghaus Talus 45, I believe, which is 45-litre pack is quite big. It's something that you might take on a single overnight mission in the summer. But I find this size bag works really well because I can handle a lot of the equipment that I might need with a group, as well as for my own personal safety. So we'll start off talking about the pack, and the main thing is it's got to be comfortable. So you want a reasonably comfortable back system that you can wear all day without feeling too uncomfortable, and it should have a little bit of rear padding here which will help to stop it from chafing and things like that. But the only way to find out if a backpack is suitable for you is to wear it, see how you get on, or look at personal recommendations from other people that do a lot of hill walking. But this one's I've been using for quite a few years, and it works well for me. Now, I don't keep too much on the outside of the pack, so I don't like to have lots of things dangling. But one thing I will keep, which has got to be very accessible, is a whistle. So I keep that on a small mini carabiner, and the whistle is there. If I injure myself and I can't get to anything inside the pack for whatever reason, the whistle is my first emergency signal, and the internationally recognized distress signal is 3 blasts in quick succession, followed by a minute's gap, followed by another 3 blasts until you get rescued. Whistles are incredibly loud, and the other thing is with a whistle, it doesn't strain your voice. So if you're at the bottom of a ravine, you're trying to get help, if you're shouting for help, it's only a matter of time before your voice gives out and then you're stuffed. With a whistle, you can keep blowing as long as you have air in your lungs. So a whistle is a really useful tool, costs very little, and this particular one is really loud. So here we go. And this is an Acme model. I'm deaf now. Wow, that was loud. So very good whistle. Keep it carried where you can reach it, even if you can't get your pack off. You might be at the bottom of a ravine, and as long as you can reach that, you're in a good position. So we'll go into the top of the pack now. And I keep a few emergency items in here. I've got an Israeli dressing, which is a wound dressing for severe cuts and injuries. I also have my compass, and I keep that in a padded case which protects it against scratching and damage, so I don't want to leave that rattling around in there. And the compass itself is a silver Expedition 4 model, which is a really good, basic but effective model which most people that are doing mountain rescue training and things like that will use. I also have this distance card which helps you to estimate distance over ground based on your pacings, so working with 2 of those together works really well. And I keep the map inside the bag, which I will be bringing out shortly. I also have one of the 2 head torches I like to keep with me. So I always have 2 head torches, make sure there's batteries for both of them and spare batteries. The reason for 2 is the standard prepper philosophy of 2 is 1 and 1 is none applies to just about everything I do. So I always have 2 good quality or reasonable quality head torches. That means if I lose or break one, I've still got one that works. Another reason for carrying 2 is you may have to loan one to somebody else. And this happened to me a few years ago. I was hiking up Cadro Idris on my own in the night, and I was almost at the summit of the mountain, and I could hear some voices, and as I got closer I realized there were people up ahead, and it was an elderly couple who'd gone up for a day hike, got a little bit lost and couldn't find their way down, and it was already dark by the time they started to get down, and they hadn't gone very far. They were really badly equipped and they had no way of getting down from the mountain, and I lent them my torch and they made it back down. They left the torch on the wheel arch of my car, and they were very grateful for that. So it's useful to be able to help other people out as well. So that's the head torch, one of the two. The other head torch is here, so keep them both in the pack. I also got in here just a few things. I keep a lighter, I always have spare lighters around the place, and some lip salve with UV protection. If you're in the mountains all day, it's good to keep your lips supple. You never know who you might meet. And a spork. You've got to have a titanium spork just because. Very useful to have. So that's everything in the top pocket. Flipping the bag around. So at the very top, inside the hood, I have a survival bag. Now this is a very basic emergency item. It's just a really big plastic bag. This one actually has emergency information written on it, but these things are a genuine lifesaver. So if you're on the mountain and this is the only thing you've got, there's a good chance this will protect you, keep you alive. And it works by just trapping your body heat inside the bag and also stopping the wind from taking your body heat away. So if you can find somewhere a little bit sheltered, crawl into a bag like this, wrap it around yourself, you've got a much better chance of survival on the mountains than you would without it. So always have one of these. This is the basic one, costs a few pound at most, and an essential items for survival. So I always keep some spare clothes in my bag as well. So I've got some over trousers. I've got my waterproof jacket. So it's more important that a jacket is windproof than waterproof, because one of the biggest killers on the mountain is the wind. So you could be up in a fairly moderate day. It could be maybe 10 degrees, but with a wind chill factor that can take your body temperature down very quickly, and hypothermia can set in really fast. So a good little tip for testing whether you are becoming hypothermic is to try to touch your thumb to your little finger. And if you're becoming hypothermic, that will become increasingly difficult to do. So every now and then you should test yourself. And if you're with a group of people, ask them to do it as well. And maybe ask them a few questions as well, just to sort of listen to see how they respond, listening for any slurring or confusion. And if you're working with a group of people, it's really useful to keep tabs on them like that as well. So into my bag, I also like to have some water. I always have a bottle of water, and I normally would take a flask of hot water as well, or a flask of some sort of hot drink, especially something like hot chocolate, which can give you the energy as well as helping to keep you hydrated. And if I'm on a long trek somewhere, I'm not going to want to carry all the water I'd need for an entire day. So I might carry a small water filter like this. This is the water to go, which you can fill up from a stream or a creek, and the water is filtered as you drink it. So the actual filter is there. So as you draw the water through the nozzle here, it's filtered as you drink it. Another filter that I really like is the Grail, which is a similar style of filter in the sense that the water is filtered by being forced through under pressure, but with the Grail you do it in a single push rather than kind of sucking it through. So the Grail is a really good one, as is the water to go, and the Soya is another one. So some very good filter options there. Going into the bag a bit more, if you've got a bit more money to spend, you may want to invest in something like the SOL Escape Bivy. So whereas this bag is perfectly adequate for helping to keep your body heat on the mountains, if you have an SOL Escape Bivy, this is a reflectorized material. It has a sort of aluminium coating to the fabric, which is breathable. So unlike the plastic bag, you won't be covered in sweat in the morning. And this will help to keep you a lot warmer than just the plain plastic bag. Plus it's being breathable, it won't feel so uncomfortable. So you can use this as a bivy bag over a sleeping bag, or you can use it as an escape bivy as well, or a survival bivy. It's quite lightweight and very, very effective, but it is more expensive than the orange plastic bivy. Further in, we have a SAM splint. So one of the more common injuries in the hills would be something like a sprained ankle, which can be quite a difficult injury on a mountain because you can't walk on it. So a SAM splint can be quite useful to help support an injury. It can be used in lots of different ways, and that can often mean the difference between being able to walk off a mountain or being stuck there. So carry a SAM splint. It's a foam covered aluminium sheet which it can be moved into lots of different positions. So very useful for first aid. And my main first aid kit, this is one I've had for years. I tend to sort of add bits and bobs to it. So this is full of all the basic things that I might need in the hills. So plasters and other dressings, maybe some paracetamol and some ibuprofen, crate bandage, just all those little knickknacks that are really essential for a first aid kit. But it varies. If I'm with a group, I will take a much bigger kit. This is my personal one, and I will generally have a much bigger kit if I have a group with me as well. And then we have some emergency rations. So I normally keep this in a little plastic container, and a good tip with emergency rations is to take something that you're not particularly fond of eating. So I would never put something like Star bars in my emergency ration because I'll eat them within seconds of leaving the car. So my emergency ration is just a plastic container, and I keep a load of 3-in-1 coffee. So that's got milk and sugar and coffee, which gives you a really nice sugar and caffeine hit to help keep you awake. And you can even make it cold if you can't get a brew on properly. And I also keep some of these survival mode emergency ration bars, and these taste a little bit like the cow biscuits or malted milk biscuits that you get in the UK, but they're vacuum packed. They've got a 20-year shelf life, and they don't taste too bad, but because they're kind of packaged in this way, I'm less inclined to want to open it up and use it. So it sort of stays there, and that's there for me or for anybody else. And if you're stuck on a mountain overnight, you'll be very glad of any kind of food just to give you that extra energy as you wait. And then, going further into the bag, I keep a waterproof container, a waterproof dry bag, and in there I'll keep a spare pair of gloves, a spare hat, and a spare pair of socks. And all of those are really useful for myself, but also if I bump into somebody else that is getting hypothermic and needs some extra insulation to keep them warm. And then at the bottom, I've got my trusty jet boil. These are a superb stove for the hills, and always carry a spare gas canister as well. And this will boil a full container of water in about 2.5 minutes, very, very fast. And it means that you can make hot drinks for anyone that's needing warming up. So whether that's you or somebody else, and it helps to keep everybody hydrated and keep their sugar levels up. And if you're stuck on a mountain overnight, it can be a long experience. It's not going to be a camping trip, but if you can be keeping yourself warm, having hot drinks, a few snacks, it'll help to get you through until the next day. So these are the emergency items. I've got a couple more things in here. A plastic bag, so I can put all the contents of my bag inside a plastic bag to keep them dry. That's a good idea. And also, one of the main points of heat loss is through the ground. So if you're planning to stop and bivvy overnight, just a little folding mat like this, it's just a closed cell foam mat, and that will help to insulate your butt off the ground and stop you losing heat that way. And if you've got a group of people and you all have these, they can be put together to make a mat for a casualty in an emergency as well. And as I mentioned before, I have my map. So it's a really good skill to learn how to navigate using a map and compass, because even though everybody now has a phone with an app on it, it's still useful to have all those proper outdoor skills like map reading that you can call upon if your phone dies, for instance. So these are the items I keep in my pack. I will mention my phone as well, because everyone has a phone, and if you can keep your phone in a waterproof case, that will protect it against weather, falling in rivers, things like that. One of the things about a phone is it relies on battery power. Now, you could carry a battery pack to recharge it, good idea. Or, there's a very good tip, if you are in an emergency situation and your phone is dying, you might be at 3%, you're stuck on a mountain, you're really worried that your phone's going to die and you won't be able to call for help. So, what you can do is to record a voicemail. And then when the phone dies, that voicemail message will still be available. It'll be in the cloud somewhere flying around in cyberspace, so somebody can phone you up and you can give your approximate or accurate position, tell them the situation, and then that information will be available to the mountain rescue. So your phone's dead, but that message is still out there. So that's a really good tip as well. One of the most useful apps to keep on your phone is the What 3 Words app, which you can then give a very accurate coordinate of 3 words, which is something the mountain rescue will use when they come to find you. So if you can give them that What 3 Words code, they will be able to find you to within a 3-meter square area. So very, very useful there. And that is the contents of my pack. So I would always say, if you're planning to go to the hills, then you should have all of these items for yourself. Now, something else I haven't mentioned yet is the survival shelter. These were often referred to as the KISU. I think it stood for the Carrymore International Survival Shelter. Other companies have started using them, and these are a absolutely fantastic way of protecting yourself if you're stuck on a mountain, or even if you're planning to stop off just for a snack while you're up on the mountain for a while. And this is the 2-person version, and the way they are used is by climbing inside it, and you sit down on the skirt of the shelter itself, and it forms a little cover over you, so your head acts as the poles, and you create a small cocoon which becomes incredibly warm very, very quickly. So this is the very compact 2-person version. I also have the Vango Storm Shelter here, which is a 4-person version. It's a good size as well, so 4 people can sit facing each other and you can have lunch or sit out an emergency situation. But better still, if you're with a group of people, is to go for the 8 or even larger version. Now, the great thing about this one, even though it's quite bulky, it doesn't actually weigh very much, and 8 people can be sheltered in this, or you can use the shelter as a casualty station, in which case you can use, say, 4 people to hold the shelter up, and then you can have a medic and a casualty in the center, all being protected against the elements. So it gives you that protection against the environment, helps to prevent hypothermia, and allows you to treat that casualty in a much less hostile situation. So these things weigh very little, and they are a serious lifesaver, used by mountain rescue teams and people who spend a lot of time in the mountains. So this is my kit. I sometimes take a few additional items. I may occasionally leave a few things out. It doesn't weigh an awful lot, but it makes me feel a lot more confident that I can deal with situations myself and not have to call for the mountain rescue. So, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, please don't forget to like and subscribe to our weekly content, which is uploaded at 1 p.m. every Saturday, UK time. See you next time.